What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another awesome episode of the podcast. Today we have another special guest on, Paul J. Lipsky. Paul is an eBay and Amazon dropshipper who actually lives out of his van and travels the country. So how you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing great, Miles. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
just
Super excited.
found out we're actually not too far from where you are, so
Yeah,
that's
only
pretty
40
funny.
minutes away from each other right now. So do you want to give a little background on yourself and how you got into, all the make money online stuff that you do now?
Yeah, definitely, because I think like a lot of people, I definitely didn't start out doing this. Um, I went to college, went to law school after that, became a
Really?
lawyer. Yeah, I was a lawyer in New York City for just a couple of years, not even before I realized, you know, this rat race, going on the subway every day, seeing the real rats, is not kind of for me.
Mhm.
So started looking for ways to make money online, especially as a lawyer. You're trapped to one state. You get licensed in one state and you can't leave that state. So it's
Mhm.
kind of very restricting. So I started looking for ways to make money online, tried a bunch of different things that really didn't work out. It's very confusing, very expensive, very time consuming. And then January 2017, I discovered eBay dropshipping, went all in with that. And by the end of the year, I did like $750,000 in
Ooh.
sales. And yeah, the rest is kind of history. I went to Amazon after that. And then once we realized we're location independent, we're leaving New York City, getting into a van, and let's travel the country.
Mhm. And how many years ago was this that you really hit the ground running with everything?
Well, I started eBay dropshipping in January 2017, started Amazon mid 2018, but I've been trying to make money online for maybe like 2 years before I started
Mhm.
on eBay.
And what did those business models that didn't end up working for you look like?
There's a few of them.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so first I tried Shopify dropshipping, where you build your own website.
Yeah, and
I
that's like the
tried,
really popular one you hear of a lot. I've definitely tried and failed at that a couple times.
yeah, that was really popular. I also tried niche affiliate websites,
Kinda heard
where
about
you,
that. Yeah.
yeah, they're not as popular as they used to be because they don't really work. But
Yeah, and
basically,
SEO changes so frequently and everything.
exactly. So basically, what those were I would like build a website where I review different, let's say like headphones, and then anyone who comes on sees a review, clicks a link through to Amazon. I would get a percentage of it as an affiliate. But that was really hard to do. It
Yeah,
didn't do anything.
and Amazon destroyed the affiliate commissions, at least for a lot of stuff I know, earlier this year.
Yeah, yeah, they did. Um, that's all I can remember. I think there was a couple other things, but I
Mm.
think they were so short-lived they never even registered in my memory.
Yeah, so when I think of drop shipping, I normally, and a lot of people I think typically think of, Shopify, you create the website, you create the brand. But can you explain a little bit how that differs on eBay and Amazon?
Sure. So with eBay and Amazon, the general premise is the same. You're selling these items to customers. Once they sell them, you then turn around, buy them from somewhere else, from a supplier, and that supplier ships the item directly to the customer. So there's no inventory that you're managing or holding. That's why I'm able to do it while traveling. So that model is the same, across the board. On eBay and Amazon, the real benefit is that they're marketplaces. So there's already a ton of customers there. I don't have to build a website. The website exists. I don't have to drive traffic to it because eBay and Amazon are already driving traffic. There's already people there with their credit cards ready to buy stuff. So that's the biggest benefit of using a marketplace.
Yeah, and so you're obviously creating your own listings when you're selling on eBay. Are you doing the same for Amazon, or are you running through central SKUs on Amazon?
Yeah, exactly. So eBay, you create your own listings. Amazon, you just piggyback off of existing listings that are up there. Um, because yeah, on Amazon, you're not supposed to really create a second SKU for an existing product.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have a catalog. They want one SKU for each item. And so you can't come in and say, oh, I have a brand new item when it's really just the same thing. And that's another big difference between selling on a marketplace and creating your own store, is that when you sell on a marketplace, you don't need to niche down. You shouldn't niche down. You should sell anything that you're allowed to sell in any niche. and it really allows you to diversify. Whereas if you're selling on Shopify, the general consensus from what I hear is that you should niche down, like maybe just do
Yeah,
pillowcases or
single
something.
product stores. Yeah, I know general stores used to be a big thing, but now people, the consumers, they're getting hit with enough ads that, you have to be smart and brand your stuff so it doesn't seem like it's just another generic store.
Yeah.
And so product research, like where are you getting these products from? And more importantly, how did you, figure out how to do all this stuff originally when you had that really successful first year?
Okay, so I'll kind of tell that story because I'll answer all the questions. So when I started in January of 2017, I had taken a course. It was a pretty good introduction, but what it didn't tell you, and partly that's because it was about 3 years out of date by that
Mhm.
point, was how to find products. At the course basically said just list up items and anything would sell. And I think maybe at some point that used to work, but that doesn't work anymore. So there is a method to go in and basically for either platform, you're going on and you're seeing what's already selling on these platforms and can you find it for a lower price somewhere else. Now with this model there are two different places you can, it was two places that I kind of have experience with where you can get these products from. So you can get them from other retail websites like walmart.com or homedepot.com, or you can get them from wholesale suppliers. You could also get them from Chinese suppliers. You see that with like AliExpress or
Yeah.
Banggood or these other websites. So there's lots of options there. Don't want to get too confusing, but there's lots of places you can get the items from depending on how you want to run things.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's basically so when I took the course, it didn't tell me how to do that. And so the first few months I was doing okay, but not great. And as soon as I learned how to do the research, how to find the products that are already selling, I was then able to see my scales just kind of take off and really started to do well.
Mhm. And so what was the moment, like obviously you had that really big first year. What was like was there a specific day when a certain product just blew up, or was it like when that first product, was good and continued to be good that you really were like, all right, like wow, I can really make some serious money with this. This isn't going to just be like, $1,000 a month, 500 a month, whatever.
Yeah, sort of. So unlike something like when you're doing private label FBA, it's not like we're concentrating on just a few items. This model is really about adding a lot of items into your
Mm,
store.
okay.
But you can totally see you totally have those products that just do exceptionally well, where
Yeah.
they sell over and over and over and over again. And I remember one product that I hit pretty early on that just kind of nailed it. It was I can talk about it because it's out of stock. It discontinued, so it doesn't even exist anymore. But it was uh, a lock for a front door that was keyless, so it was like a punch pad lock.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Airbnbs a lot use those now.
exactly, exactly. So that one, some reason Home Depot sold one model that was just a little bit cheaper than all the other ones. So then when I listed on eBay, it was just a little bit lower than all the other ones, and everyone just bought it up. And I was selling those so much. And that's when I was like, hey, this is actually like, there's something here. Like, this is just one product. And so that kind of what kept me motivated throughout the whole process.
Yeah, and the way I think about it, if you're going to buy something from Home Depot, you're probably going in store to get it. Not many people, if they're ordering stuff online, they're thinking of going to Home Depot. A little bit more Walmart, but if you're looking for something like, a lockpick to get or whatever it was, to get that online, you're probably going to eBay or, especially Amazon for that kind of stuff. So there's definitely, interesting opportunities there. But it really, the fact that you can, buy stuff from Walmart, one of the biggest businesses in the world, and, flip it on another marketplace really shows the opportunity of, of doing other things. So do you want to talk a little bit about your van travels? That's something I'm super interested to hear about.
Yeah. So we loved, my husband and I, we love to travel. And so, at some, we actually, when we left New York City, we moved down to Florida for about 7 months.
Hmm.
And when we were down there, like, well, this is great. Like, we vacation in Florida and now we like live here. But we kept like traveling and we're like, we just love to travel. Why can't we do this full time? And we started watching a lot of YouTube videos about other people who live in vans and travel around. And we're like, we can totally do this. And so we just kind of pulled the trigger one day and did it. A lot of people, they'll buy a Sprinter van or a cargo van and convert it themselves. Um, we didn't do that. We bought ours straight from Winnebago. They built it out for you.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's kind of a lot easier. So we didn't have to do all
Yeah.
that work.
Yeah, because I've
And then we
I've seen a video of it, and I mean, it's crazy, nice, and everything looks good. I think you even had a shower in there. You said on one TikTok, like I didn't
yeah,
think there'd be one of those in there. So yeah, so you bought it fully furnished, and then you just took off, and the rest was history.
yeah, yeah. So we've just been traveling around. It's turned out this was a good, bad year to travel. I don't know
Yeah.
which way it goes, but a lot of stuff was shut down, obviously, in the springtime. But no one else could travel, and we were able to travel, so that was kind of cool. And we just saw like so much of the country, and we're just loving just doing this. It's what we love to do. So
Yeah, because I remember seeing. I think I was first introduced to you when you were hanging out with Stephen Avery in Florida. I guess that was in maybe February or March or something. And then just all through, I think I saw you guys work your way up to the West Coast, and then it felt like
hmm
one. I think I even DM'd you about this. Like one week it was like Oregon, and then the next week it was way up in Maine at one of the state parks. I'm sure it wasn't or might not have been that close a timeline, but it's definitely cool to see you guys get around like that.
yeah, it's sometimes we'll move really slow, and then we'll see some amazing stuff, and then sometimes we're like, there's some place we want to go, and we'll just book it and just kind of drive straight through till we get there. So it's great because you could just pick your own schedule and do it however you want.
Yeah, so are you guys parking mostly in campsites or Walmart parking lots, or what does that look like?
So the van that we got, one of the reasons we got this one is pretty decked out to boondock. Boondock just means you're not plugging into shore power, you're not putting a hose into it like you
Mhm.
do at a campsite. So we have these big lithium batteries, and we have water tanks with a shower, toilet in here, a full kitchen. So we never have to go to campsites. I think we've been to 3 campsites ever. So we mostly park at, well, it depends. On the East Coast, we're parking at Walmarts or Cracker Barrels. They allow you to sleep there overnight, or families, driveways. Out west, it's amazing because out west they have what's called BLM land, which stands for Bureau of Land Management.
Mhm.
And it's basically you can drive to these free campsites, boondock, and they're just incredible views, like right up against canyons. Uh, it's just amazing. Like we
Mhm.
stayed at one place that had a natural hot spring
Ooh.
that we just woke up and just got right in this
Yeah.
basically hot tub, and you were just looking in the middle of a valley, and we're looking out, and it's just the Sierra Nevada mountains. It was just amazing. Like you can't pay for views like that, or you
Mhm.
pay a lot of money for views like that. It's
Yeah, yeah,
incredible.
for sure. So what is something like a fully furnished, sleeps two people Sprinter van cost?
Well, again, it depends how you want to do it.
Yeah,
So,
the
I mean,
the the incredibly beautiful setup. I don't know how high quality that is, but the great setup you guys look to have.
so the one that we have, because it has all the lithium batteries, which are which adds a lot to the cost. This one cost us out the door 125,000.
Mhm.
Um, you can get it without the lithium batteries; it would just be under 100. And if you want to do it yourself, but really the most expensive thing is the van. But once you get, I mean, we have friends that bought like $5,000 vans
Yeah.
and then put another 5,000 into it,
Mhm.
and they're
And
just driving
probably
them
some sweat
around.
equity too.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so obviously, we struggled to schedule this interview because of, you getting accurate Wi-Fi, but with you working completely or, good Wi with you working completely online, what does your normal like day-to-day look like? I'm curious. I'm sure it's, fairly sporadic, but, if you are able to get access to good Wi-Fi, how much time does it take to, run a, 6 or 7 figure Amazon and eBay business?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll say that the internet has improved in the van.
Mhm.
The First of all, we're closer to cities, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think when we first did it, I was out west or Midwest somewhere.
Mhm.
It was just very spotty, and we just got a expensive but really nice internet setup that's coming in the mail. So there's always ways to make it work. Um, but yeah, my typical day. it can be kind of nuts. I still feel like I haven't gotten the right schedule down
Mhm.
because there really can't be a schedule, because
Yeah,
there's
I
some
get that
weeks.
too. Yeah, I still live at home, for these next few months till I'm done with
Mhm.
school. My parents will like ask me like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I don't know. Like this person could call. I could need to ship stuff. Like it's very sporadic."
Right, right. And I try to bring some sort of structure into it,
Hmm.
but usually, like, there'll be some weeks where we just camp out somewhere, like in a parking lot somewhere, and I just like bang out like a ton of work.
Yep.
And then there's other times where we'll be like in Yellowstone National Park for like almost a week, where there's almost no cell reception, and like let alone internet, and we're just hanging out doing that for most of the week. Um, so ideally, like, my best days are when I wake up kind of early, um, get in a couple hours of work, check in on my stores. Like, luckily, my virtual assistants, they work while
That
I'm
was my
asleep.
next question is whether there's
Yep.
softwares that directly fulfill orders or whether you had virtual assistants that were going in and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a combination. So we have software and we have the virtual assistants kind of fill the gaps, which, yeah, the virtual assistants do a lot of it.
Yep.
So they're working at night, so I wake up and just kind of check in with them, because
Hmm.
they're from the Philippines.
Yep.
They live there.
On
And then
onlinejobs.ph.
yeah,
Yeah, that's where I got mine as well.
yeah, it's great. So I just check in with them, and then I usually do my assignment that I assign myself for the day, whatever that is, whether it's something for my dropshipping business, whether it's updating something in my course, or planning out my next YouTube video.
Mhm.
And then usually later in the day is when I do like that kind of like admin work, like emails, answering DMs, stuff like that, because that I can just do from my phone. So even if we're moving about, I can just easily do that from my phone. And then at night, and then in there we're traveling, seeing stuff, and then at
Yep.
night I do a little bit more work before going to sleep. That would be like if I could do that every day, I'd be happy, but it
Mhm.
doesn't
So
always
do
work
you
out.
find
So
you have a pretty good work-life balance, do you think?
no, I don't. I think I work too much,
Mhm.
honestly. But I mean, I'm traveling around a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better at it. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying not to work as much, because I think my biggest problem is I'm not very good at delegating and outsourcing.
Mhm.
I definitely do it, but I could be so much better, and there's really no excuse for me not to. So that's something I definitely want to make a priority, because some days I just feel like I'm getting burnt out really
Mhm.
fast.
Yeah, for sure. And the way I think about it also is, we do this stuff because we like it. You know what I mean? So I enjoy and I kind of consider a lot of the work, fun, like learning new different things, like a lot of the automations and stuff you can set up. Like obviously, it hurts my brain to like learn how to do them, but it's also like really cool once you figure it out and everything. Yeah. So what do the margins look like on the average product you're selling on either eBay or Amazon drop shipping?
So so when you're using the retail websites to dropship from, your margins are going to be about 8 to 10%.
Hmm.
If you're going wholesale, you can get them 20%. Well, it really depends on the supplier, because
And the product, yeah. Yep.
yeah, because a lot of them will have what's called MAP pricing,
Yeah,
which is,
minimum average qual. I didn't know what exact,
yeah,
but yeah, something like that.
yeah, minimum advertised price,
Yes,
or
yes.
minimum, yeah, so MAP, yeah, MAP. So that means you can't list it for cheaper than that.
Yeah.
So that helps keep the margins up for those products. Um, yeah, so that's not uh, outside the realm of possibility for wholesale. Um, and then on Amazon, it's about the same.
Yeah. And so are these, manufacturers and suppliers working with, are they fulfilling individual orders for you or are you sending them to fulfillment centers?
No, no. So yeah, there's no fulfillment centers with drop shipping. It just
Mhm.
comes direct from whoever your supplier
Yeah.
is.
And so do they ask if you're drop ship? Well, obviously if you're fulfilling individual orders, you probably are. Do they prefer that? I mean, obviously they I assume want to sell large quantities and offload it. Do you negotiate special deals normally or do you typically just take what they give?
So with the retail websites, you just
Yeah,
start
yeah, yeah,
doing it.
yep, yep. Got to do what
If you're
you
doing, when you're doing wholesale, you you have to, if it's a real wholesale company, they wouldn't even, you can't even buy from them unless you submit your documents
Yeah.
showing them that you're a real business, your EIN number, your state resale certificate. So, and then they have to obviously do drop shipping, otherwise they don't do it. Like it's just, yeah. So you got to make sure of that beforehand.
Yeah, speaking of, registration and everything, do you still technically live in Florida for tax purposes and everything?
Yeah, and that's still our home state. I mean, we go back
Mm.
there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and no
Mhm.
state income tax.
Yes, that's very helpful as well. So Dropshipping Titans is the name of your Facebook community, right?
Dropshipping Titans is the name of my course.
Yes. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I have a couple, few too many Facebook groups, but so each of my courses has its own private Facebook
Mhm.
group,
Okay.
and then I have a public one that's called Work from Home with Paul J. Lipsky.
Oh, all right. I'll have to
So
join that one. I thought Dropshipping Titans was the public one. So what inspired you to, get on social media? Because I know you're very active on Instagram. The TikTok recently blew up, and then you
uh,
also have a fairly large size YouTube channel as well, right?
yeah, so when I started doing the drop shipping in 2017, I was part of a forum where like we would talk about drop shipping. And I found myself like answering, once I started to do well with it, answering a lot of the same questions over and over again,
Yeah.
and realizing that some of the questions would be easier to answer with a video. So I made like my first video summer of 2017 on my crappy MacBook Air and a really cruddy built-in microphone and just put it up there. And then later that year, I just started making more of these videos because I got more of the questions and started to really like it. And then yeah, it's just, it was great. It's great because you're just connecting with people, you're helping them out, you're you're learning from them. Like every viewer, not every viewer, but a lot of them will leave comments saying, hey, this, that, I have a good pulse on what's happening now. um and just hearing everyone's problems, like, okay, this is a problem that most people are facing. How can I fix this so I can help my students, so I can help the viewers? Yeah, it's great. And I kind of went all in with YouTube
Mhm.
for a long time. I do have Instagram, but that's actually fully outsourced. I don't
Yeah,
use it
because you do a lot
really.
of those cool graphic posts, I see.
Yeah, and I think I'll be more personal with it in the future at some point, but I just don't have the time right now, so I've
Mhm.
just outsourced it.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's the TikTok's been blowing up as well. It's been neat, especially your content on the TikTok because it's been, partially make money online, partially like look at this awesome, van I live in and lifestyle I live.
yeah.
That's been cool to see. What's been the best performing video so far?
On where? On YouTube or TikTok?
Is it the Wi-Fi one on TikTok or the shower one? I can't remember. I
I
like
think
checked earlier.
I think it's the Wi-Fi one.
Exactly. It's
That
so
one
cool,
has,
like what can blow up on those.
yeah. So the Wi-Fi one, that was my fourth video and has 1.4 million. And my shower one is a fairly newer one. It has 1.1 million.
Oh, there we go. So
Um,
that's crazy. And how many
I mean, the
followers do you up to now?
43,000.
And do you
And
think you've
that's,
been able to, and have you tried transferring them over to other platforms yet?
um, no, not, well, no, because even though it's linked up in the bio, I really just, my focus is just to grow the TikTok.
Okay.
So I keep telling, like, every call to action is just like, follow me, or
Yeah.
check out my other videos.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So you got, the courses, the social media presence, and then obviously the large dropshipping business as well. What do you think is your moving forward, your plan? Are you just going to keep, doing what you're doing? Do you see longevity in eBay and Amazon dropshipping?
yeah, so I always am down and excited about adapting and trying new stuff.
Yeah.
Like this, this is the first time I'm kind of like publicly talking about wholesale. Actually, is with you, because it's something I've been for the past maybe year and a half. I've been experimenting with new ways to drop ship on eBay and
Mhm.
Amazon. I used to just be, okay, we're going to drop ship from Walmart and Home Depot and similar websites because that works and we're allowed to do it and there's great money to be made there.
Yeah.
And then about a year and a half ago, eBay said, hey, you're allowed to drop ship. You're not technically allowed to use these other websites to drop ship from. And I was like, we were all like, whoa, what does this mean? Because they've been letting us do this for years.
Yeah.
And whenever eBay creates a new rule, we always, the first thing we do is nothing, because they just have a tendency to write rules and or make changes without really explaining them fully.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to figure out what they're talking about. So it's better not to react, in my experience, and just kind of see what happens. And sure enough, what we saw was that eBay did start to take some of our listings and lower them in the search results. But we would just, with this model, one of the beautiful things about it, or the great things about it, is that we continually add new products. It's so
Yeah, I
easy.
was
And
gonna ask about that. Yeah, like how many products are you running at a time? Because you had said, as many as possible, as long as they, fit what we're looking for.
yeah, so we're continually adding more products. Like, um, we aim for a 20 to 25 a day of good quality products that have been researched,
Hmm.
and getting rid of old items that aren't selling.
Yeah.
And I think that constant churn makes up for the fact that eBay might have lowered us a little in the search results.
Hmm.
And eBay, they even sent us emails telling us, hey, we know you're doing this. This is technically against terms of service, but that's the only action they've taken against us. They haven't
Hmm.
banned us. They haven't suspended us. They haven't uh, charged us extra and fees. So that's the way it's been for a year and a half. So we're going to continue to do that.
Hmm.
But I like to always stay ahead of things. So we've been trying other things. Like, I was end of last year drop shipping from Chinese websites,
Okay.
or Chinese suppliers, but that all fell apart during COVID.
Yeah.
And so then we went with the wholesale route, and that's been really successful. And so that's kind of what I'm excited about now, to kind of teach people and show people about that. Now it's kind of like the next level on eBay with drop shipping.
Yeah, so one of the things that keeps a lot of people from eBay, and I've run into this the past as well, is that the data isn't really clear on stuff. Obviously, with Amazon for product research, you get sales rank and rank in the different categories and
Mhm.
everything. Do you have any software you use to vet products for eBay, or are you just looking at completed listings? Because I assume some of these items are super high velocity in terms of how much they're selling.
Yeah, so there is software, but you don't need it. Um, it's called Zeek Analytics. It
Okay.
definitely helps. It
Hmm.
speeds up the process a lot. But when you go into eBay with drop shipping, you're going to sell the same product over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So you'll see on any drop shippers listings, hey, they sold this item 75 times, let's say. They'll say it right there. So you see, okay, this product is a good product.
Oh, that's
And
cool. Yeah, it's like looking at page transparency on other people's Facebook page to see what types of ads they're running. I like that.
yeah, but it's there's no hack to do it. It's just
Yeah.
right there. eBay gives you that.
Yep.
And the reason eBay does that is because of social proof. If you're shopping on eBay and you see that someone has bought this, 75 people have bought this, you're going to feel more comfortable about
For
buying it.
sure. Yep.
So that's the reason why other sellers don't just delete the listing and start a new one to hide that number, because they want viewers, because they know that if they leave the 75 up there, that they'll get more sales. So
Yeah. And so this is one thing I was curious about, one of our final questions. Have you ever run into an item selling out on a website that you needed to fulfill?
yeah, so we do have software that helps with that. So
Oh, cool. All right. That's real cool. Yeah. Okay. That's real
yeah,
cool.
so it's called, well, there's so many different ones you could use, but the one I use called AutoDS.
Hmm.
And so it links up, let's say, Walmart with eBay. So if the price or stock changes on Walmart, it will automatically change on eBay. Um, it's not 100%. It's pretty close.
Yeah. And
And
even just getting any of that data, I'm sure is, super valuable.
yeah, yeah. And also, if that does happen, the items sometimes come back into stock pretty quickly, or
Yeah.
sometimes you could buy it from another website. So there are usually options, or buy a similar product with the customer's permission. That usually works.
Hmm. All right. And so one final question I have for you. It's definitely awesome to have you on. If you could give, one piece of advice to your younger self, that was just getting started with all this. I'm sure I know I had no idea of compared to, now. What's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self if you could go back when you were just getting started with all of this?
The advice I would give myself is to probably just start sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
like that.
I'm hesitant to change anything about what I've done because it's
Oh,
worked
that's
out.
awesome.
So,
Uh-huh. All right. And yeah,
yeah.
so where can people find you on social media if they want to follow up with you?
So it's Paul J. Lipsky everywhere. The last name is Lipsky. So YouTube, you can just search for Paul on eBay. I come right up. Or TikTok, it's Paul
There we go.
underscore J underscore Lipsky. I don't know why I picked underscores, but I did. That's because I'm a millennial. Um, and Instagram is Paul J. Lipsky.
Hmm.
So
Awesome. And all that stuff will be linked below. But yeah, Paul, really appreciate you coming on. It was awesome to hear your perspectives on, some different, non-traditional business models that you've had a lot of success with.
awesome, man. Thanks so much. I would love to do this again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're, listening to the video on YouTube, or sorry, watching on YouTube or listening on a podcast platform, we would love a favorable rating and a subscription. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Bye bye.